Shalom, Hebrews. This Israel been Israel for the Israelite Brotherhood. I want to do this video on the Egyptians' connection to the tribe of Ephraim. Ephraim gonna be Joseph's youngest son, probably the youngest tribe out of all the tribes, being that Joseph and Benjamin were Prophet Israel's two youngest sons, and that Joseph had a son, two sons when he was in Egypt, Manasseh and Ephraim, and Prophet Israel blessed them into the tribes. Joseph inheritance. They got Joseph inheritance, and Joseph tribe, gonna come from Ephraim and Manasseh. Them half tribes where the Prophet Israel made them whole tribes. All right. How about the tribe of Ephraim? If you read the Hebrews history and you familiar with the history and what we wrote, the Jews call it the Tanakh. But the prophet sayings, if you read it, and I done read the book quite a few times, the whole book, a few times. And each time you read it, you learn something new. It's like a smart book, and it updates itself. But this what I want to show Hebrews, and I'll also be able to dispel some myths too while I'm doing this. I'll be able to dispel some myths, especially dealing with the Assyrian captivity. I could show that the Hebrews did trade, especially the tribe of Ephraim, with the Assyrians before the Assyrian captivity come about. And I can also show that they only took the fighting tribes. But this video is about the Egyptians and how through the tribe of Ephraim it is basically what brought us down, because it was the Egyptian religion, that was on us in our last days that caused us to break the covenant and to run into Africa. And that's like, I show in all the other videos how we run into Africa, but I'm going to reinforce it in this one because, it's like Prophet Isaiah. When he say something, it's like gold. That's the way it is. And ain't nobody questioning Prophet Isaiah's words and prophecies right now today. You know what I'm saying? They might say something about the other prophets, but they ain't gonna say too much about Prophet Isaiah. Prophecies and Prophet Isaiah say that the Hebrews walked down into Egypt without the Creator's permission. And what I'm gonna show is that if the Hebrews walking into Egypt, and I could show that we always wanted to go back to Egypt. I got a video covering that, how the Hebrews always wanted to go back to Egypt. Well, if we wanted to go back to Egypt, in our last days, while we in distress and the Creator say he was going to chase us off the land, it's no other place that we would have went to. And how these people that claim to have an Israelite heritage is pure wrong, and they robbing us. You see, they only doing this because we broke the covenant. It's like you got a lot of people in Britain, Europe, Australia, all points of Europe swear up and down that they the Israelites, and they try to claim that they are the Israelites because of what happened during the Assyrian times. And that's false history, man. That's false history. But, like I said, I'm going to make this video, about Pharaoh and how slick he was. Real slick. You see, Pharaoh knew that after Joseph done answered those prayers, and it's something real, you can see what's going on plain as day. If you know the timeline and the scriptures, you can see the Egyptian plot and how they tried to destroy us basically throughout the whole scriptures, because our whole struggle was, dealing with them also with the people that we were supposed to destroy in the promised land, and what they had got mixed up with them Raphalims and Nephilims, the Canaanite tribes did, and some of the Hamite tribes did too. That's how Assyria got took down in this last days, because the people, the Semitic people that had mixed with the Nephilims and Raphalims, destroyed Assyria, and they try to trick us with that word Semite, Semitic. Semitic just mean half and half. Half of this, half of that. And Semitic is not Shemite or Shemitic. Coming from Shem. Two different, entities, and it ain't number word play. Okay, this what I want to show with the Egyptian thing is how old Pharaoh. I was doing some reading, and it's a trip how after Joseph answered Pharaoh's Pharaoh's dream, and how Pharaoh would give him Asenath. That wasn't by accident that Joseph got the priest of On's daughter. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't by accident that Joseph was given the priest of On's daughter. You know what I'm saying? And that Pharaoh did that for a strategic reason. Pharaoh gonna be kind of like the smartest person out of the Egyptian to lead them. And back then they was real wise and savvy, and they could pick up on something real easy, like how Pharaoh picked up on Joseph being blessed by the Creator and everything he did. That was that officer, one of Pharaoh's officers, that had bought Joseph from the Ishmaelites. The Ishmaelites sold him. It's like they got a history of dealing in slavery and selling folks and capturing folks and stuff like that. Well, we know the history of Joseph, how he told his brothers how he was going, he had a dream, and how he was going to be the boss and reign over everything one day, and how everybody going to have to bow down to him. The young brother. So the other brothers hated it. They all got different mamas, the same daddy and stuff. And then here's one of the younger brothers trying to say how he going to rule over them. And they didn't know that it was the will of the Creator and our destiny with becoming an Israelite nation, and how, I guess us dwelling in Egypt, if we would have overcame the Egyptian idolatry and idol worshiping, then, you know what I'm saying, we would have shown enough been the apple of the Creator eye, and we would have been that priestly nation. Egypt was a test for us, and man, Egypt, man, we got our mouth tore out fooling with Egypt, and Egypt took us down through there. But this story about Prophet Joseph is real important, because, as you read it, when he was in Egypt, after he was sold, and then he was given head of his captor's house, because everything he touched was a blessing, and they peeped that. And if you read this story, you're gonna see some of the stuff that's done to us today was done to us back then. You see what I'm saying? Because this is an Egyptian system that we was taken to, like Prophet Moses said, the Creator told him. But I'm gonna read this story, this history about Prophet Joseph. And I'm gonna explain how Pharaoh was real slick, and then I'm gonna show throughout the scriptures how the tribe of Ephraim kind of like messed us up, and it was the tribe of Ephraim that brought us down. All right. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought bought Joseph of the hands of the Ishmaelites. You see, the Ishmaelites, man, them folks will say you, and when we be saying, oh, they are brothers, they Hebrews too. Now the Ishmaelites had took on a whole different entity like Esau did when they start mating with them Canaanite tribes and them Nephilims. You know, anytime you run across the Hebrews and they done lost their pigmentation, it's gonna be because they done mixed in with them Nephilims and Raphilims. Alright. And the Elohim was with Joseph, and he was prosperous man. You know, he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Elohim was with him. See, he got plenty sense. Plenty sense to know that the Egyptian gods ain't blessing Joseph, because Joseph ain't gonna be praying to no Egyptian god. So he gonna peep instantly that Joseph getting blessed by another entity, the real entity. Alright. And Joseph found grace in his sight. And most times when a person see that you really serving and believe in the creator Yah, they gonna give you some space. Alright, and Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. And it come to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and all over that he had, that the Elohim blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. Look, here it is, the Egyptian got blessed for Joseph's sake. Not because the Egyptian was righteous or that the Egyptian believed in the creator. No, he got blessed because of Joseph's sake. You see what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why these folks been having us here in captivity, and they ain't gonna want to ever let us go, because they been getting blessed for our sake. You know, America done won all these wars because they done had us in there fighting for them, and other nations can't just destroy them because we here, America is blessed for our sake. You know what I'm saying? Because us Hebrews, just like Egypt, you know, this guy was blessed for Joseph's sake. You know, the Creator blessed him because Joseph was there under his care. All right. And the Elohim was up on all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. Man, he had so much and was getting blessed so good, and that, man, he only worried about what kind of bread or what kind of food he was eating, that he had so much, and he was blessed so good. All right. And it come to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon him, and she said, lie with me. And the reason that's gonna happen is because, you know, women will do this. Women will see a man taking care of business. You know what I'm saying? This man, he ain't taking, her real man ain't taking care of the business, and Joseph taking care of the business. She gonna think maybe to secure her future, or think that Joseph gonna be there to take over one day. You see what I'm saying? And a woman gonna, you know, go to strength. You know, that's just an automatic thing. But, you know, all this was in the will of the Creator. You see, and after reading this story, you will see how this system, this Egyptian system, used the women. You know, it's like a woman calling in distress. Oh, he did this to me. Oh, got plenty Hebrews killed back in the days. You know, that was a technique that they got from these scriptures and stuff. All right, and that they'll do that to the Hebrews. All right, and he left all that he had in Joseph's hands, and he knew not aught he had save the bread he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it come to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon him, and she said, lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master want not what is with me in the house, and had committed all that he had to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I. Neither had he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against the Creator? You see, that's a sin against the Creator. Taking a man wife and stuff, and then the man and hooked him up with everything and stuff. And Joseph was smart, man. He ain't finna do that old wicked, low down stuff. But that was part of the Egyptian culture, I guess. You see what I'm saying? And then, they gonna be attracted to them Hebrews and stuff. Anyway, and it come to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her. Yes, see, you know what I'm saying? That, she a scorn woman and stuff. She finna be hot and show enough finna, try to bring him down. And that's what happened. But all this in the will of the Creator. And it come to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of them, the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. Man, he got on down. Man, he wasn't finna get caught up in that trap, and he don't know what kind of trap. Maybe the owner, the boss of the house who he working for might have been trying to set him up. See what I'm saying? Set him up, to get him chopped up and stuff. And he was smart not to fool with her and stuff. And he took off, but he left some of his clothes there. And then, that lady gonna scream and holler, that he did her wrong. And that's what they did to us after slavery. It's so many brothers, so many Hebrews. This basically only happened to Hebrews, where another woman of another ethnic group or tribe and accused the Hebrew male of sexually bothering her, and it bring the wrath of the whole enemies down on us. And there's plenty of brothers sitting in jail right now today and been accused of doing something to a woman and stuff of another ethnicity or another group, and did 25, 30 years and they ain't never touched her. Probably looked at her and end up, in prison for the rest of your life. So that happened to us during the days after slavery, real bad. To look at a white woman, you started to get about 50 years. And then here they throwing their women at you. Look at all them brothers and done lost their lives because of them women. And now they throwing them at you. All right. And it come to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of the house and spake unto them, saying, see, he had brought in a Hebrew. See, they knew the difference between us and them. See what I'm saying? They said, she said, he brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us, them Egyptians. He come in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. They do that type stuff, women. They'll get you messed up. There's so many dudes sitting in prison now today because a woman done tricked them out their freedom. Right? And it come to pass when he heard that I lift up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until her Lord came home. Her man. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant, you see, they knew who we were. The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us come in unto me to mock me. And it come to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it come to pass, when his master heard these words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, after this manner did thy servant to me, that is wrath with, that his wrath was kindled. He gonna be hot, man. He done gave the man everything and took him in, and then all of a sudden, dude trying to sleep, sleep with his woman. You see what I'm saying? That's gonna piss him off big time. And you'll be blind by love will make you do a whole lot of stuff. Alright. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. And he was there in the prison. But the Elohim was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. See, that's how the Creator, when he walking with you and when the Creator on your side, it turned out like that. All right, the keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Elohim was with him. That which he did, the Elohim made it to prosper. So everything Joseph, do gonna prosper, because the Creator will is being performed with him being in Egypt from the first place, from that dream that he had from way before his brothers clowned with him. All right, and it come to pass after these things, that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord the king of Egypt. You see, if you notice, it's kings of Egypt during Joseph time, but the Pharaoh that come in after that ain't gonna be like mentioned kings. They gonna be mentioned as pharaohs mostly then on out, because the pharaohs from Lower Egypt, the pharaohs from Lower Egypt, man, the pharaohs from Lower Egypt is the pharaohs from Lower Egypt, the pharaohs from Lower Egypt, the pharaohs from Lower Egypt are from the Mishwish tribes, the people from Lower Libya, from Lower Libya, and from the west of the Nile and stuff. And those gonna be the people that ran Lower Egypt. And Upper Egypt gonna mostly be the Nubian stock. You know what I'm saying? The Nubian, Ethiopian stock. And those are gonna be the people that ran Upper Egypt, and them gonna be the people that come on the throne during Joseph's time, when they say that this Pharaoh didn't know Joseph, and then our bondage come on, and then they have us making bricks, the same as they made bricks in Mesopotamia for their structures and stuff. The Egyptians did the same thing, and then that's when they took us into bondage, when that new Pharaoh came. But when this Pharaoh was on, that was in Upper Egypt, Lower Egypt, and during Joseph time, and this gonna be the one that's gonna be cool with the Hebrews and stuff. All right, so Joseph and he in prison because that lady and accused him of trying to sleep with him. And then I'm finna show you some stuff, and I'm gonna show you how Pharaoh knew that Joseph had the Creator with us. And then after bringing our folks out of Canaan during the famine, and that he knew that we was gonna go back, and that we was gonna do that covenant, and that would have blocked Egypt from getting across the promised land. You see what I'm saying? That would have blocked Egypt from getting across the promised land to be with their relatives in Mesopotamia. All right, and it come to pass after these things, that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord the king of Egypt, and Pharaoh was wrath against the two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in war. So they was there for a little while. And they dreamed, both of them, each man his dream. And in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. They sad because they dreamed and had it created and visited them in the vision. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to Yah? Tell me them, I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossom shot forth, and the cluster thereof brought forth ripe grapes, and Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. And I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The three branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner when thou wast his butler. But think of me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me up out this place. You know what I'm saying? I know this right. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me in the dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and beheld, I had 3 white baskets. You see, that word white gonna be bad back then, and that's not no good sign. See what I'm saying? That's not no good sign. All right, I had 3 white baskets upon my head. In the uppermost basket there was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. And it come to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday. Now, you got Hebrews celebrating birthdays. This is the first birthday mentioned. This is in Genesis. This is the first birthday mentioned, and it's going to be with Pharaoh's birthday. And on Pharaoh's birthday, he killed his enemies. And in this Egypt, they got us worshiping and celebrating birthdays. Never did we come from Africa, or never is it nowhere recorded in our history that we celebrated birthdays. All right. And it come to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants, and he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave him the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. Okay, Pharaoh gonna start having some bad dreams. You know, Pharaoh gonna start having some bad dreams and stuff. And then this is when Pharaoh had his magicians and his people, to try to, interpret his dreams, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it, and Pharaoh wasn't satisfied with nothing that they was talking about. And the dream was about, them 7 ears of corn that was plentiful, that sprung up everywhere, and then how it was 7 other corns that were growed up that was terrible and didn't have no consistency to them and stuff, and that symbolized the famine that was coming to Egypt, and Joseph being led by the Creator and not worshiping them Egyptian gods and believing in that Egyptian religion. He gonna answer Pharaoh's dreams, because like I say, this is all got to do with the creator behind everything. Like the Creator is behind us being here in captivity. The Creator is behind us being here in captivity, because he said that we will be taken to Egypt in ships when we broke the covenant. So when we learn what we supposed to hear, our bondage is finna come to an end. And the thing is to always turn to the Creator and worship him. That's like they got, the majority of us believing in Jesus and demigods. And I believe that's what's holding our captivity up. All right, so, Pharaoh, had the dream and couldn't nobody answer it. And then the chief butler, spake unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my fault this day. Pharaoh was wrath with his servant, and put me in war in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker, and we dreamed a dream in one night. And I and he, we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was with us a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. See, is that word Hebrew again? They knew the difference between us and them. All right. To each man according to his dream he did interpret, and it come to pass as he interpreted to us, so it was. He restored unto my office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And Joseph shaved himself, and changed his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh. Now you got a whole lot of Hebrews be crying, oh, we can't have, we can't shave. We got to have beards. We got to have beards. Man, you don't know Hebrew history. You know, we was in bondage, and he gonna probably do what the Egyptians do, but the Creator was with him. Didn't know having no hair on his face or his head gonna determine whether the Creator gonna be with him or not. See, because it come from in the heart, believing in the Creator. You know, that outer appearance and all that is deception. This was inside you that count. And Joseph believed in the Creator. So him shaving his beard wasn't going to mean nothing. It wasn't going to take away from him. That wasn't going to stop the Creator from looking out for him. You know what I'm saying? All right. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered and said, it is not in me. Yah shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. You see, so we ain't worshiping the same God, because if we did, Pharaoh wouldn't need Joseph to interpret his dreams, or wouldn't have needed his priests and his magicians and all them old sorcerers and folks. You see what I'm saying? So check this out. When Pharaoh peeped that Joseph answered his dreams and it was satisfactory, and he made Joseph governor over the whole city, put a gold chain on his neck, put him in the chariot, let him ride around with him so the people can see that he got the power, because he with the main boss, Pharaoh. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, Joseph gonna handle his business and stuff, and he gonna, save Egypt. And then, this is the trick part about it. After Pharaoh did that, Pharaoh made the slickest move of all. Pharaoh made the slickest move of all is when he gave Joseph Antoinette. See, he's seeing this as a man of the real Creator. You see what I'm saying? And then he gonna know, you know what I'm saying, that we Hebrews and stuff. So, he gave Joseph Antoinette. Antoinette, that's the priest of On's daughter. You know what I'm saying? And Joseph gonna have two sons by her, Manasseh and Ephraim. See, and look, Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in a vesture of fine linen, and put on a gold chain about his neck. The enemies always put gold chains on our necks too, because if you look during the Babylonian captivity, they put a gold chain on Daniel's neck and tried to make him ruler. Made him ruler. All right, and Pharaoh, put the gold chain on his neck, and he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. So Joseph gonna be a governor. You know what I'm saying? Calling shots, and had to do what he had to do. But the most important thing is that Joseph was given Asenath, the priest of On's daughter, and that ain't no good thing. That was a bad thing, because out of that union, you get Manasseh and Ephraim. Unto Joseph were born two sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, born to him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for Yah said, he had made me forget all my toil in all my father's house. In the name of the second called he Ephraim, for Yah hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. So if you look at the tribe of Ephraim history throughout the scriptures, it's awful. They basically the tribes that led us back into, the Egyptian worship, and thus breaking the covenant and going into slavery and losing our heritage, man. And I got some scriptures to prove that the tribe of Ephraim, man, was awful, and that the Creator said he would even cast them off. And let me show this too, Hebrews, that the tribe of Ephraim was working with the Assyrians before the Assyrian so-called captivity, where that 10 lost tribe lie come from. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to show this too. So, you know what I'm saying? You go to the book of Hosea. Alright, you go to the book of Hosea. Let's see, let me find this. Man, I hate when I can't just, alright. And then you go to 12:1. Alright, look, you see 12:1. Alright. Ephraim feedeth on wind and followeth after the east wind. His daily increase lies desolate. And they do make a covenant with the Assyrians, and oil is carried into Egypt. So, this is in 753 BC. And this is like 31 years before the Assyrian captivity, that the tribe of Ephraim was doing trade with the Assyrians. You see what I'm saying? Did trade with the Assyrians, and if you go to 13:2, see? And they do make a covenant with the Assyrians, and oil is carried into Egypt, because the Egyptians and the tribe of Ephraim is kin. And I'm going to show you that it was a prophet that was chased to Egypt in our last days, because he said the kingdom was going to get destroyed, like prophet Jeremiah said. And this brother this prophet that believed in the Creator ran into Egypt to hide. And the Egyptians let Joachim come in there, sent some folks in there to get him, and the Egyptians gave him up, and they put him to death. But how about during Solomon time? This is like in 930, 940 something BC, that Jeroboam bucked Solomon, and the Creator gave Jeroboam the northern tribes, and Solomon knew this, and Solomon sought to kill him, and he went to Egypt, and Solomon couldn't do nothing to him, and Solomon was married to Pharaoh's daughter, and he still couldn't come in there and get Ephraim's descendant Jeroboam, like, the other ones gave, the Egyptians gave that prophet Urijah up. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to see if I can show some of this good history. You know what I'm saying? And this should show that the Egyptians ain't never been cool with us. And you have Hebrews trying to embrace an Egyptian identity is pure crazy, and they don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you turn to 13:1. Let's see what this say. Alright. When Ephraim spake trembling, he exalted himself in Israel, but when he offended in Baal, he died. You see what I'm saying? Alright, yet. Alright. This verse is in here saying that how, Ephraim would return to Egypt and go to Egypt. And you know what I'm saying? That even happened. But if you read the book of Hosea, it basically talk about Ephraim, because Ephraim monarchy and rulers gonna come from the tribe of Ephraim off Jeroboam. You see what I'm saying? So, that's where the leaders gonna be for the northern kingdom, is gonna be with the tribe of Ephraim, because Jeroboam and Jeroboam descendants. Okay. Now let's look at this here. Alright. If you see, I done showed how, Pharaoh gave Joseph Asenath, and they had the two children. You know what I'm saying? Then let me show you that, we know that after we left Egypt, that a mixed multitude gonna leave with us. That's gonna be some Egyptians leaving with us, and that's gonna be Joseph kin, Joseph children kin, the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh. Them mama and them was Egyptians, so they kin gonna leave with us doing Exodus. And if you can see this right here too, and this is gonna be Exodus 12:38. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, flocks and herds, even very much cattle. You know what I'm saying? So, a mixed multitude went up with us, and that's gonna be the Egyptians, and them gonna be the people that's gonna cause us to put that golden calf up when Moses gone. You see, when Moses go off to get the law, all right, and when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what is become of him. And Aaron, got their stuff and, made that golden calf. And we know that Prophet Moses come down, and it was a big old issue. And then we know that, after going into the land, with Joshua, we get in the land, we get in the judges, we get beat up, but we get our mouth tore out. But then, we get a little grip. We didn't clean out the people we were supposed to, them Canaanite tribes. And then, we get into some bondages. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Judges is about. And then you get Samuel, Samuel 1 and Samuel 2, And then, Samuel, we start to get some relief from our bondage, because we started to come into a law, because here's a man that forced the law. You know what I'm saying? He enforced the Creator's covenant. And then you get Saul, and then you get King David. You see what I'm saying? And King David was so hard on them folks. King David was so hard on them folks that them Egyptians knew not to come across the promised land or even think about trespassing during King David time, because they knew that King David was loved by the Creator. You see what I'm saying? And King David didn't mind putting that sword to you. And after King David's death and he died, then Solomon get on. And Solomon take us down through there. Solomon even get an Egyptian wife. You see what I'm saying? And let me lay these grounds down, because then you're going to see that when Jeroboam acted up, and that Solomon couldn't go into Egypt and bother him, because he was kin to the Egyptians. And Shawshank, the guy that ruled Lower Egypt, gonna be from the Mishwish tribes, the people from the Sahara and stuff. And those were Joseph's children's kin. All right. And Solomon made infinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had made an end of building his own house in the house of the Elohim in the wall of Jerusalem round about. So Solomon had an Egyptian wife is a bad thing, a terrible thing. You see what I'm saying? See, now them Egyptians can come across the land. I show you that they did trade with Assyria and the other people in the Mesopotamian area and Babylon. I got history showing that Babylon corresponded with Egypt, and so did the Hittites and all the other folks, So us having that covenant and being right there in the middle, and Egypt couldn't come across, that was going to kill Egypt. That was going to kill Egypt, and Egypt was the technological country at that time, and all them other nations needed Egypt wickedness, and we would have put their lights out if we would have did the covenant. But you see how Solomon wicked tail end up with Pharaoh's daughter. See what I'm saying? And then if you go to 1 Kings 7:8, 1 Kings 7:8, 1 Kings 7:8. and his house where he built, and another court within the porch, which was made like work. Solomon made also an house for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had taken to wife, like unto his porch. You know what I'm saying? So Solomon had an Egyptian wife. Okay. And then, Solomon sinned big time. Got all these women. Got all these women from all these tribes. You know what I'm saying? He the big player. And he boning them. And he even boned the Ammonite woman and had the son Rehoboam by an Ammonite. You see what I'm saying? The Ammonite lady. She wasn't even from the tribes of Israel. And he was weak. Shawshank came out and robbed him. All right, check this out. All right, so we see Solomon got the Egyptian wife. Now, it's this brother, that Solomon sought to kill, Jeroboam from the tribe of Ephraim. All right, and Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite, that's Ephraimite, of Zerudah, Solomon's servant, whose mother name was Zurah, a widow woman. Even he lifted up his hand against the king. You know what I'm saying? So, Solomon gonna be trying to kill him. And Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam. And Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt unto Shawshank, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. All right, Solomon didn't go try to get him. But check this out. If Solomon didn't go try to take that brother out, but if you go to Jeremiah 22, and you're gonna see that the prophet that believed in the Creator, the Egyptians gave him up, but Jeroboam, they didn't get him up. You see what I'm saying? They didn't get him up. All right, and then if you get over here, you know what I'm saying? This is dealing with prophet Jeremiah telling the princes and Jehoiakim and all them that the land was finna be, tore up and stuff. And they told Jeremiah, hey man, you gonna get it. But the elder stood up and then say, hey man, it was a prophet named Micah under King Hezekiah that told him that Jerusalem was finna be plowed, and King Hezekiah didn't do nothing to him. So they left Jeremiah alone. But then it was this other prophet. You see what I'm saying? Look, and Micah the prophet prophesied in Hezekiah's days. King Hezekiah of Judah, and spake to all the people of Judah, saying, this saith the Elohim of hosts, Zion shall be plowed like a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountains of the house as the high places of the forest. Did Hezekiah king of Judah and all Judah put him at all to death? Did he not fear the Elohim and besought the Elohim, and the Elohim repented him of the evil which he had pronounced against them? This might we procure great evil against our souls. And there was also a man that prophesied in the name of the Elohim, Urijah. You see what I'm saying? In the name, the son of Shemiel, of Kermijah, who prophesied against the city and against this land according to all the words of Jeremiah. And when Jehoiakim the king with all his mighty men and all the princes heard his words, the king sought to put him to death. But when Urijah heard it, he was afraid and fled and went into Egypt. See, he fled and went into Egypt. And Jehoiakim the king sent men into Egypt, namely Elathan, the son of Achabar, and certain men with him into Egypt. And they fetched forth Urijah out of Egypt, and brought him unto Jehoiakim, and the king slew him with the sword, and cast his dead body into the grave of the common people. See, the Egyptians gave the prophet up that believed in the Creator. You see what I'm saying? Gave him up. But then when Solomon was on, and they knew that Solomon wasn't right, and then Jeroboam fled to Egypt, and he was their relatives, man, Solomon couldn't come in there and touch him. Solomon couldn't come in there and touch him. And then, Pharaoh gonna say, hey man, listen, Jeroboam, if you push this Egyptian religion, Solomon can't do nothing to you. And we gonna back you and we gonna be down with you. We can, folks. You know what I'm saying? And then Jeroboam gonna go for that mess 9 out of 10 because he brung 2 golden calves out. Soon as Solomon died. You see what I'm saying? And if you go to 1 Kings chapter 28, First Kings 12:28, you will see it says, whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold and said unto them, it is too much for you to go to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And you know what I'm saying? So, Jeroboam was from the tribe of Ephraim, and the Egyptians was pushing their religion through the tribe of Ephraim. You know what I'm saying? And then, if you go to let's see, Ephraim 7:15, where the creator was so sick of the tribe of Ephraim that he told them that they was gonna get cast out. You see what I'm saying? And that he was casting them out. Alright. 7:15. Alright. Therefore pray. Let me see where it is. Alright. And I will cast out of my sight, as I have cast out all your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim. See what I'm saying? Because Ephraim was wicked. They were some drunkards too. They were some drunkards, man, and they stayed drunk. You know what I'm saying? If you go to Isaiah 28, they had money. They was fooling with the Egyptians. They was doing trade. They was pushing that Egyptian religion. It was the tribe of Ephraim that brought us down, and the Egyptians worked it through them. You know what I'm saying? And then it wasn't nothing for us to go to Egypt. That's like, they say that the Hebrews, I be proving in the videos that all the Hebrews went into Egypt. I be proving in all the videos that all the Hebrews went into Egypt or Africa during our last days in the book of Jeremiah. And these devils, they don't want to acknowledge it, but it's right here in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? If you go to Jeremiah 31, I'm going to show this real quick. And then I'm going to get back up on the Jeroboam thing, how we did that golden calf. And it took us out in the book of Jeremiah. Our last days. And it was because the tribe of Ephraim. I showed that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes during Hezekiah and King Josiah days. And I got videos going into this. Plenty videos going into this. Alright, if we look at 28. Woe to the pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine. See what I'm saying? They were some drunkards, and this go into the whole thing talking about Ephraim and how, that they was all throwed off and messed up, and how that they more worship the bottle and some liquor than trying to worship the creator. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm going to show this too. If you look at this. Alright. Woe to the rebellious children, said the Elohim, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my covering spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and to not ask at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. You see what I'm saying? So, Hebrews went to Egypt. Hebrews was walking back and forth to the promised land into Egypt. And I'm going to show that the Assyrians and the Egyptians were basically friends. You know what I'm saying? If you go to Nahum will show you that the Egyptians and the Assyrians were friends and stuff. So, if the Egyptians and the Assyrians is friends, and then when the Assyrian wars come on, then the history not gonna be what them enemies been lying about. You know, they've been tricking us for a long time with our history and stuff. You know, we ain't finna be tricked with our history no more. Them days over with. We pushing a whole new land. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna push a whole new land. We ain't gonna let the folks, the enemies, tell us what our history is no more. You know what I'm saying? And they've been telling us how history go. And then when you look at history, it don't add up the way the enemy been telling us. You know what I'm saying? All right. If you go to Nahum 3, Nahum chapter 3 and verse 8. Art thou better than populous No, that was situated among the rivers, that had the waters round about it, whose rampart was the sea, and her wall was from the sea? Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength, and it was infinite. Put and Ludim were her helpers. See what I'm saying? So that's Assyria right there. And the Ethiopians and the Egyptians, you know what I'm saying? And all those folks always went to Assyria. And that, you know, when Assyria was falling, because they let the Scythians, Tudor, and all them folks, you know, come up in the land and stuff. You know, they let these folks come up in the land and kick it with them. Yeah, man, they let these folks come into Assyria and kick it. Tudor and them. Tudor gonna be King Midas' daddy. You know, he was Ashkenazi, and them folks start hanging around Assyria. They come up out the Caucasus Mountain. Man, they come up out the Caucasus Mountain, and then they start hanging around Assyria. And then they got so deep, and then Assyria tried to get them folks out of there. They used to go robbing and everything together. And then when Assyria seen that them folks was getting deep, then they couldn't get them out. And then also, that's when Prophet Jonah went to Assyria in 760 BC to try to get them to straighten up. And then they wouldn't straighten up. And then that's when they, you know, come into our land and did the little dirt that they did. And then that's when Prophet Nahum, around about 697 BC, gonna tell, you know, Assyria it was over with. And Assyria was destroyed in 615. You know, the prophet Nahum, you know, the tribe of Ephraim was kicking it with them folks, and they was all doing evil. And the tribe of Ephraim is the reason that the Egyptians were able to come across and do trade with Mesopotamia and with Assyria and so forth. Is because the tribe of Ephraim wickedness, because they was kin to the Egyptians. You know, and then the Egyptians gonna be slick kin to the Assyrians. You know, that's like Usher. Usher gonna be a son of Nimrod that went and built Nineveh. And, you know, from there, they even got images of him as a god in the winged circle and stuff. That's gonna be Nimrod's son. And he gonna build Usher, a war god. Nimrod's son gonna build Nineveh. And then, you know, from there, and it's like Nineveh is responsible for Chaldea. You know, they founded Chaldea, but the white folks, the Scythians, Ashkenaz, and them came and took it over. And them will be the Chaldeans. See, that's like when they try to trick us and try to say that Prophet Abraham come from the Chaldeans. He come from where the Chaldeans come from. And you look at the Chaldeans in their last part of their history, then you'll be fooled, because the Chaldeans had took the Ashkenazi had took the Chaldeans over. And check this out, and I'm gonna show this. Alright. That's gonna be Isaiah 23. Alright, now look at this here. What they say. Behold, the land of the Chaldeans, this people was not, till the Assyrians founded it for them, that dwelled in the wilderness, that set up the towers thereof, that raised up the palaces thereof, and he brought it into ruin. You see what I'm saying? So here the Chaldeans brought the Assyrians into ruin because the Chaldeans, the Assyrians would let King Midas and them folks, the Scythians, come kick it. You know what I'm saying? And they got into Chaldea and took it over, ran all the black folks out. And then Chaldea became a Scythian nation. And then they would go destroy Assyria, just like Prophet Nahum said. But you see how Assyria founded the Chaldeans. Now this is where the devil try to trick you, is when they try to say that Abraham was from the Chaldees. Abraham was from the Chaldees. Okay, Abraham was from a black nation. Abraham was from a black nation before the invaders came in. Baratuda and them folks coming out the Caucasus Mountain, kicking it in Assyria. See, look. And when he said unto him, I am the Elohim that brought thee out of the and of the Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit it. You see what I'm saying? So we know that the Chaldees going to be a black nation because the Assyrians founded it from the beginning. But then the other folks going to take it away. You see, if you go to Genesis 10, 11, you're going to see that Usher, all right, you know what I'm saying? It's talking about Nimrod. He was a mighty hunter before the Elohim. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Elohim, in the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and in the land of Shinar. And out of that land went forth Usher. That's going to be Nimrod's son. See what I'm saying? And built Nineveh, and in the city of Rehoboth, and Calah, and Rezin, between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. You see, that's going to be, where them folks took, the tribes during the Assyrian captivity. They would take them basically to the, around them same parts. But you see that the prophet Abraham was from, Chaldea, and he was there when the Africans, the black folks, controlled it. You see what I'm saying? And then Ashkenaz and them came up out the Caucasus Mountain and started kicking it in Assyria and stuff. They started kicking it in Assyria. And then that's how Assyria got destroyed. And these same people would come get us up off the land because the tribe of Ephraim kept us on that Egyptian worship. You know what I'm saying? With them golden calves. That's like if you go to, let me see if I can get this in real quick. All praise be you, Almighty Yah. There's none greater than you. All right. Let me see how we was on that golden calf. That's going to be from the tribe of Ephraim. Solomon chased him chased Jeroboam into Egypt, and then we would get on that golden calf when he come out and set up in the northern kingdom. But if you go to 2 Chronicles 13 verse 8, and now ye think to withstand the kingdom of the Elohim in the hand of the sons of David, and ye be a great multitude, and there are with you golden calves which Jeroboam made for you as gods. That's that Egyptian stuff he put on us. You know what I'm saying? That's that Egyptian stuff Jeroboam put on us. Alright. Alright, now if you go to Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 15, 16, 17, and 18, after the golden calf, it's the same. We will go into Egypt in our last days during the Babylonian wars. The Creator sent Ashkenazi to get us up off the land, because we kept saying we was going to do Egyptian religion, and we took off into Egypt. I already showed you that every time we get in some trouble, that's where we'll want to run to. And it come to pass that when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking unto all the people all the words of the Elohim, the Yah, for which the Elohim their Yah had sent him to them, even all these words, then spake Azariah the son of Hoshea, and Johanan the son of Ker, and all the proud men, saying unto Jeremiah, Thou speakest falsely. The Elohim our Yah hath not sent thee to say, go not into the land of Egypt to sojourn there. But Barash, the son of Ner, set thee on edge against us for to deliver us into the hand of the Chaldeans, that they might put us to death and carry us away captive to Babylon. And all the people, the whole land was empty. This said the Elohim of hosts, the Yah of Israel, ye have seen all the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem and upon all the cities of Judah, and behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man dwelleth therein. We was gone back into Egypt. The Egyptians had completed their mission. They killed King Josiah during just before the Babylonian War started. They killed King Josiah, put us on the Egyptian religion, and the Chaldeans, the Scythians, would chase us off the promised land into Africa, and there we remained till the transatlantic slave trade started. That's like Africa borders. Africa borders is not what it used to be till the League of Nations took it over. You see what I'm saying? Till the League of Nations took it over, and this is real strange right here, Hebrews. Check this out. Did them folks let you know that the Ethiopians, they didn't bother them because the Ethiopians, kind of got their hands slick in distorting our heritage. Religion was on us all the way to Ethiopia, and King Josiah cleaned it up, and it's the prophecy for King Josiah right here. And behold, there come a man of Yah out of Judah by the word of... Yeah, Hebrews, it's all messed up.
Britain had seized the lion's share of control, and new positions of advantage against its rivals had seized the scene. Only two countries remained outside European possession: Liberia in the west and Ethiopia in the east.
Yeah, them Ethiopians had their hand, man, in getting a part of our heritage too. I'm gonna start going into that history also. All right, but this is us going into Egypt to worship the Egyptian religion. All right. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by a great multitude, even all the people that dwell in Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, as for the word that thou hast spoken to us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, our princes in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of food and were well and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. We went into Egypt during the Babylonian wars when the Scythians came, and we never came back out. We never came back out when the exiles come home from Babylon. You know what I'm saying? We never came back out. And when the exiles come back from Babylon, we never come back out to be reunited with them. And I got history showing what happened to them. You see what I'm saying? So Hebrews, the Egyptians tricked us. The Egyptians tricked us. And they would keep the tribe of Ephraim on the Egyptian religion. They would keep the tribe of Ephraim on the Egyptian religion to destroy us. And then that's why come Prophet Prophet Isaiah said this here, man, about Egypt. All right. If you go to Isaiah 36. He was telling us this when them Assyrians had came, and then they was messing with King Hezekiah, and then he had sent the spokesman out to him, and we was on, probably leaning on Egypt for some strength. And man, he said this here. All right. Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereupon if a man lean, it shall go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all that trust in him. That's what he did to Joseph when he gave Joseph Asenath. You see, if you trust in Pharaoh, he gonna do something slick and dirty and low down to you on the slick side. And that's what he did to Joseph when he gave Joseph Asenath. And then Asenath had Manasseh and Ephraim, and the tribe of Ephraim. If you read Hosea and prophet Isaiah and the prophets, you'll see that the tribe of Ephraim was leading the way in our downfall. It was the tribe of Ephraim that, brung us down, and we would go into Egypt to worship the Egyptian religion, and we never recovered from that mess, and that caused our enslavement. And then I show how we walked down to Egypt quite a few times. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't no big thing for all the tribes to run into Egypt, and it's like I showed it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. I show this over and over. If you go to Second Chronicles chapter 30, and then we dealing with King Hezekiah. You're going to see all the tribes is there. And then he even go to say that we escaped the Assyrians. You know what I'm saying? So the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, according to the commandment of the king, saying, ye children of Israel, turn again unto Elohim Yah of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remainder of you that are escaped out of the hands of the king of Assyria. And then I go to show you how he name all the tribes still there. They done escaped the Assyrians. And then if you go to the next page, all the tribes are still there. And then his son Manasseh gets snatched up by the Assyrians that had controlled Babylon. Babylon would break, they little rule off of them, come talk to King Hezekiah, see if he'll be down with anything. King Hezekiah show him all the treasures and everything, and them folks come back and got it. You see what I'm saying? Everybody was trying to get us. And then if you look on Hezekiah's great grandson, King Josiah, you'll see that he cleaned up the whole Israel. And all the tribes not mentioned during King Hezekiah time gonna be mentioned during his time, and how he cleaned up the whole Israel. And then the Egyptians would kill him and put us back on the Egyptian religion, and then Ashkenazi would come, just like Habakkuk said, prophet Habakkuk, and then they would chase us into Africa, and there we would remain until the transatlantic slave trade started. And here we are now. It's that easy. Hebrews. All right, but you see how the tribe of Ephraim, starting from with Pharaoh giving Joseph Asenath, how Pharaoh was planting his seed for our destruction later on. You see, that Pharaoh that gave Joseph Asenath hoped it that our conditions would be that it is today. And then that's why these devils set up an Egyptian system on us. And then that's the Pharaoh statue that killed King Josiah, that put us back on the Egyptian religion, that caused us to go into Africa to be enslaved. And that's the obelisk that was put up when the new kings come on in Joseph's time, and we was enslaved at the beginning of our enslavement. Both of these objects is in New York. They got both of these artifacts in New York. All right, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. I pray that this information is doing you Hebrews some good, and that you Hebrews understand that there's other history besides Jewish myths. And then that's what the Israelite Brotherhood is about. And you support the Israelite Brotherhood by subscribing. You see what I'm saying? So you can stay informed with the latest history, so you can teach brothers and sisters that's in your community and that's in your realm, that you control and where you at. All right, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. This Israel been Israel. I just showed how the Egyptians kind of like tricked us and planted they wickedness on us, with Joseph answering Pharaoh's dream, and Pharaoh's sorcerers wasn't able to do it, and Pharaoh know that he had to do trade across the promised land, and how he planted our defeat, and it came to pass. Shalom. This Israel been Israel for the Israelite Brotherhood.